Hi, let's solve Leetcode 844 backspace string compare. This problem is also the part of May 1st, 2022 Leetcode challenge. So in this problem we are given two strings s and t, and we need to find out if they're equal or not after we have executed the backspace operation in them. Our backspace operation is denoted by a hash in the string, and a hash means we delete the previous character. So, and it is also mentioned that backspacing an empty string will give us an empty result. So that means that if we are given a string hash and a, after doing the resultant string will be a. And similarly, let's consider a character a, the string a, b, hash and c. After we execute this, we get a, we get then b, but it is deleted by this backspace, and then we get a c. So the resultant string is ac, and we need to figure out if the two resultant strings are equal or not. So the one intuitive solution that comes to mind is to actually implement the backspacing operation and see that whether the strings are equal or not. So how can that be done? We can basically take a stack and let's perform the operation. So we are given the string, let's consider the same example, a, b, hash and c. We get the first character as a, we push it into the string, and we get the second character, we push it into the string. And if the third, when we come to the third character, it's a hash. A hash means a backspace. So we pop out the last inserted character. In this case, it's B. So it's popped out. And when we come to C, and then we come to C, and then we push C. Now the string is over, and then we can find out the resultant string, that is AC. Similarly, we can do it for the other string, and we can get its resultant string, and then we can compare the two resultant strings to see if they're equal or not. This will be an order of n in time complexity because we are traversing the string once, and this will also be an order of n in space complexity because we are taking a stack to store the characters of length n. Now the space complexity can actually be improved. Let's look how. So as the name suggests, backspace string compare, we can actually start comparing the elements from the end, and this gives us an advantage that we already know that how many elements are going to be deleted. So in that way we already have an idea of how many characters to delete. So for example, let's take these two strings that we need to compare. We start comparing from the end, so let's keep two pointers, and let's call this pointer as an I, and let's call this pointer j. So we compare I and j. If they're equal, we continue. Then we come to hash. When we get an hash, we start executing for this string. So it's a hash, so that means that we need to delete one character. So then we come to this character, this b, and we know that we have to delete one character, so this is deleted. And then we come to a. Since the deletion has stopped, we stop here, and then we do this for this for the same for the other string, that is j. For j, we find out that there's a hash, so we continue deleting. And once all the delete operations are performed, we again come here j, and then we compare if uh, this ith and the jth character are equal or not. If they're equal, we again move on to the next part and continue doing this. So in short, we perform it in this way. While it's true, what we are doing is removing backspaces and deleted characters for the first string. Then for the second string, we are doing the same. and then we are comparing the characters. And if the characters are equal, let's say the ith and the jth character becomes equal, s of I is equal to the t of j, then we can do an I minus minus and j minus minus and again continue in this while loop. And when do we break this while loop? We break this while loop when s of I is not equal to t of j. That's when we break this while loop. Or we break this while loop when I is less than 0 or j is less than 0. After breaking this while loop, how do we figure out that the two strings are equal? The two strings will be equal if I and j are both equal to -1. Because after we have executed all the string, in the end both of the pointers should reach -1. If only one of them reaches -1, that means the other string was not totally executed, and that means that both the strings are not equal. And now the time complexity. The time complexity for this approach will be order of n, because again we are traversing the string, and the space complexity will be 1 because we are using no extra variables, no extra space. We are using constant space, that is to just keep the count of how many characters are to be deleted. So with this we end up with an order of n time complexity and order of 1 space complexity. So I'll just write it out. We have order of n time and we get an order of 1 space complexity. So now let's get to the coding part. So first of all, we declare the two pointers. Pointer I will point to the end of the first string, that is string s, and pointer j will point to the end of the second string. And then we'll perform the 3 steps as we discussed. So we'll loop, and first we'll execute backspaces if present from end of remaining portion of string s, and we'll do the same step again for string t, and then we'll compare the characters. We'll break if not equal, and yeah, so this will be a loop which is true. Okay, now let's write the code. So while it's true, we'll also take a variable deletion. Deletion stores the number of backspaces that we have encountered and are yet to be executed. That means it shows the number of backspaces that are yet to be executed. So while we check the index I, it should be greater than 0, and if deletion is greater than 0, it means that there are some backspaces yet to be executed, or we encounter a backspace that is hash, then we go inside the loop and we check if it's a backspace or not. If it's a backspace, we increase the deletion count, else I do a deletion minus minus because we have executed one backspace, and then we move on to the next character, that is we do a I minus minus. We do this similarly for string. We do this similarly for the string t. For string t, the pointer was j, so I replace I with a j, and the string t with and the string s with t. And once we are done with these two steps, then we compare. So first we check if both the indexes are valid or not. So I should be greater than or equal to 0 and j should also be greater than or equal to 0. and then we check if the two characters at ing are equal or not. If they're equal, then we move on to the next character in both the strings, else we break out from the loop. After breaking out from the loop, we are guaranteed that at least one of the strings have been completely executed. If both the strings have been executed, then the strings are equal. So to check that, if I is -1 and j is -1, then we return true, meaning that both the strings are equal, else we can return a false. Now let's run the sample test cases. All the sample test cases passed. Let's submit the solution. Okay, we are getting an error. Okay, so we didn't set deletion to 0 each time. We have to set deletion to 0 each time, because deletion set to 0 means that initially we have 0 for the remaining part of the string s that has to be executed. So we are not set that, and similarly for string t as well. Now let's submit the code. It's working great. So if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and like it if you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching.